coming alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Heart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here's the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Snow of 1976.
Good morning, and for the final time this Kentucky Derby season, it's time for the morning workout show presented by Twin Spires. Here at Churchill Downs, the main track is rated as fast. Skies are clear. Temperatures in the low 60s for now, but on the rise, it is Thurby. We'll take a look next at the headlines going into a very jam-packed weekend. Early favorites, wagering opened up on Tuesday in the Kentucky Derby. Right now, Fierceness is the 8-5 choice. Torpedo Anna bet down to 2-1 in the Kentucky Oaks. We will take a closer look. Sierra Leone running for his connections, running for bragging rights, running for purse money, but he's also running for another purpose. We'll find out more a little bit later on in the show. Trio of Stake Race is headlining this afternoon's 12-race Thurby card that begins at 12:45 Eastern Time. Bango looking to become the all-time winningest horse at Churchill Downs. And finally, early post times, both tomorrow Oaks Day and Kentucky Derby Saturday of 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Joe Christopher and Rosie Napravnik joining you for the final Kentucky Derby morning work show of this season. Another milestone for us has been hit, Rosie. It's been very exciting, and just watching these horses train. We've seen them race. We haven't, outside of Encino, had any defections. Things have gone very smoothly. I hope I'm not jinxing it right now by saying all this, but it's just been a pleasure to watch every step of the way.
It has been a pleasure to watch these works this year. I mean, all of the horses look fantastic. Everybody looks to be moving so well. And like I said, there's no rumors of any issues that could come up. So it looks like, we have the one scratch so far, but it looks like this is, hopefully going to stay what the field is in the next couple of days.
Well, speaking of horses that are moving well and have a lot of ability, Fierceness is at the top of the list. We'll take a look at him in a moment or two. We're going to take a look at his odds right now, though, as we see the updated Kentucky Derby odds. Now, you can bet the Derby, you can bet the Oaks, you can bet the entire cards now. They are open on Twin Spires for business. Here are the early Derby odds. Not a ton of surprises. Sierra Leone's going to go down from 6-1, Catching Freedom 9-1. That makes sense. Forever Young, the Japanese Invader at 8-1. That makes sense as well as we turn the page here. And we'll see that Fierceness is up there at odds of 8-5. Lots of horses in the 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 to 1 range. And this is the way it's going to play out in the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, lots of millions of dollars still to be bet, but over $500,000 already with the wagering opening up on Tuesday. Let's take a look at Fierceness. And again, we know his credentials, Rosie. He's 3 for 5, dominant in those 3 wins, a couple of off days in the other 2 races, earnings of $1.6 million, a 2-year-old champ, the winner of the Florida Derby by the length of the stretch. And he has done nothing to dissuade us from liking him by the way he's been training here the last week or so.
Absolutely. He's looked fabulous on the track. And I think his post position draw only helps him. I mean, it may be a post that has never won in the history of the Kentucky Derby, but it certainly is a good one for Fierceness. I mean, I think you could pick a lot worse post positions for him. He's just been so professional and relaxed on the track. He puts just enough into his gallops. He's not making it harder on his body than he needs to, which I love to see. And then, of course, we've seen in his breeze that he can absolutely accelerate when asked. So I know he has the ability to come sharply out of the gate. I think he's going to do well from that outside post position to get a really favorable position, and has that speed when Johnny Velasquez needs to ask for it, whether it be getting a position or down the lane.
Long run into the first turn, all the other speed drawn inside of him. One horse that's hoping for a hot and contested pace is Sierra Leone, a deep out the back closer who has handled adversity, something that Fierceness has not done. That's working in his corner, likely to have to overcome some adversity on Saturday as well.
Yeah, he certainly will have to plan to do that coming from the 2-hole, and will be tasked with getting through a very thick group of horses with 20 horses.
Done it before.
He's done it before, so we will, that is definitely an asset for his rider to have. Like, I know that I can get through a hole. I know that this horse has the confidence, to pass horses on the inside, in between, on the outside. So I think what will just be important with his running style and the way he carries himself, he reminds me so much of his sire Gun Runner in a bay version, but he'll have to be able to keep going. The fear for me is that if he gets stopped, will he regain his momentum? So
big,
from the
bounding, powerful strides. Tyler Gaffalione knows exactly what he has underneath him. And Catching Freedom, Flavien Prat. Nobody's been riding the Derby better than Flavien with his results in recent years. He's got Catching Freedom here for Brad Cox. He was third behind Sierra Leone in the Risen Star, but the winner of the Louisiana Derby and the Smarty Jones earlier this year. And we've seen Fierceness, how laid back he is. We just saw the gallop from Sierra Leone. Catching Freedom, three completely different gallops that we've seen this past week or two here from three of the horses that will be fancied on Saturday.
Absolutely. They definitely all travel differently, but the one thing they have in common is they're all out here being professionals. You can see Catching Freedom almost appears to be aggressive because he's got his nose sort of tucked into his chest. But if you take note of the rider's not really making a big effort. He seems like a type of horse that you just kind of set your hands and forget it, and he gallops around at a nice pace. He loves his job. He's got his ears pricked. And looks to be moving really well. So this horse, with a quicker turn of foot than Sierra Leone, also will be probably coming off the pace, and also has navigated some traffic in the past.
Let's take a look at the Louisiana Derby that was won by Catching Freedom. And let's set this up here real quick. Hold on, guys. So we've got the 5, that is Catching Freedom. We've got the 7 Anna Marie and the 12 Track Phantom. Now, Track Phantom on the outside is going to break very cleanly. He's going to set it on his pace, going 1 mile and 3/16. Anna Marie, let's roll it, breaks cleanly, but he gets shuffled back a little bit. And Catching Freedom gets pinched back, gets shuffled all the way back to last. Now, Rosie's got a little bit better tactical speed than that. This could happen to him in the Derby as well. We'll see the result in the Louisiana Derby here, but right at this point, we haven't even gotten into the first turn yet. Catching Freedom is last. Anna Marie is third to last. Track Phantom, who's going to add blinkers for the Kentucky Derby, is once again in a forward position. There you see Track Phantom. He's going to wilt under the pressure in the stretch. Anna Marie's going to close up very well. Well, watch it turn a foot, and you mentioned it earlier, Rosie, that Catching Freedom displays here.
Yeah, Catching Freedom definitely seems to have the ability to turn it on a little bit quicker than a horse like Sierra Leone. But comes around the field in this race and just powers down the lane. They're adding the blinkers on Track Phantom for the Derby, so we'll see if that helps him stay focused down the lane. But what a move by Catching Freedom in the Louisiana Derby.
He's going to be in that 8 to 10 to 1 price range. Catching Freedom, horse that I fancy. We'll find out how much a little bit later in the show. The Kentucky Derby winners, Rosie, at the 8th pole. This is where they were positioned. Now, you see Rich Strike in 2022. At the quarter pole, he was 15th. He made that winning move, and this race is like no other in that you just don't see horses getting caught inside the 16th pole. The winning move seemingly has to be made a lot earlier.
And that goes for a horse that is coming from behind or a horse that is up close. It can be a little bit uncomfortable to start moving at the half-mile pole when you're on a speed horse especially, but you have got to keep your horse moving forward at every step from the half-mile pole home, no matter what position you're in. I remember in the 2013 Derby, I followed Orb all the way around the turn and just flying past horses. By the time we got to the 8th pole, Orb was only a head off the lead. So it's that early move sometimes can be made really wide. Several horses have come, really wide through that turn with an early move and finishing up in front.
Some of those horses are absolutely spent at the half-mile pole, the quarter pole, etc. One horse that hopes to still have some energy left in the stretch, just a touch, and we would expect him to be forwardly placed and lightly raced. He's only run 3 times in his career, but same can be said for Mage, who won the Kentucky Derby last year. It's a different era that we're living in these days. The curse has been broken multiple times, and we'll see if Just a Touch can do it again. He's been moving well, and there's no better combination in a racehorse than natural speed and stamina.
Absolutely. I mean, this horse has looked excellent out here training. You can see as the rider is bobbing up and down during this gallop, you know, he's really having to make an effort to keep Just a Touch, you know, within a good galloping pace and not going too fast, not doing too much. But yeah, an unexperienced horse who's got some tactical speed. It's a question of experience for this one.
Brad Cox says Just a Touch, who should be forward, and Catching Freedom, who should be coming off the pace, along with the horse that he beat in the Louisiana Derby, Anna Marie. Now, as far as Brisnet products go, Kerry Thomas has his visual handicapping competitive edge scorecard. He gave Anna Marie a C++, which ranks him 10th. There are 2 horses that have A's, and to find out who they are, go to Brisnet.com, purchase that product. Great visual assumptions by Kerry Thomas there. And Anna Marie was the winner of the Kentucky Jockey Club here as a 2-year-old. He went to Fairgrounds. He ran 5th in the Risen Star, came back and ran 2nd in Louisiana Derby that we just saw. And he's been training great here, showing a little bit better tactical speed in these workouts and in his training. And he's the buzz horse for a lot of people in that 15-20 to 1 range.
Yeah, well, you know, he was not completely out of touch in his sprint races, and then is coming from more off the pace in the route races. So, like, I love the, you know, the difference that he can make in his position, and has done very little wrong.
A couple of years ago, Rich Strike didn't get a lot of coverage on this program. We didn't think he was going to be involved in the race, and right now Mugatu is number 22, but he's only needs 1 defection to get in with Epic Ride, the 21 getting in with Encino, scratching from the Kentucky Derby a couple of days ago. For all you Zoolander fans out there, Mugatu, we'll see if he's in position to get into the Derby. Of course, we're not rooting for any scratches, but just in case, we wanted to show you a little Mugatu, another horse much like Rich Strike, who has been campaigning at Turfway Park. Jeff Engler will be making his first start in the Kentucky Derby as a trainer. All right, up-to-date Oaks odds. A lot of the favorites here, expected favorites, drawn on the outside, and that might be a big part of the reason why Torpedo Anna is the 2-1 current favorite. I was a little bit surprised Tarifa was the morning line favorite at 7-2. She's up there at 7-1. Ways and Means up there at 8-1 for Chad Brown off a recent defeat at Gulfstream Park behind Power Squeeze, who's drawn to the outside of her. Here are some of the favorites here, Rosie. Just FYI, Leslie's Rose. Not as long of a run into the first turn as the Kentucky Derby. They're 5-1 and 7-1 respectively coming out of the Ashland.
Yeah, you know, I am actually surprised that Tarifa is it 8-1 right now? With, I mean, I thought she had a pretty good draw.
Yeah.
I kind of thought she would be a shorter price.
What do we got bet in? There's only 61,000 bet in the pool, so this isn't nearly as strong of an indicator maybe as the Derby, but it gives us a little something to look at. And, you know, if you can't make it out to the racetrack, you have an opportunity to play these races early. In fact, the entire Derby card on Saturday, the entire Oaks card on Friday are both available for wagering at Twin Spires. Lots of multi-2-day wagers to take advantage of as well. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the show. The designated training time for the Kentucky Derby and Oaks horses is right around the corner. We're going to take a short break. We will be right back and take a closer look at the horses that will compete in the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby in just a moment.
As they head to the backstretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Frank. It's neck and neck. Frank is winning. Frank wins.
Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes 2nd or 3rd in eligible races.
Horses are about to move their way onto the racetrack. Again, that highlighter yellow saddle towel for the Kentucky Derby runners. The pink, of course, for those that will be competing in the Kentucky Oaks. And we'll have the live action of these gallops. So no workers, obviously, scheduled today in just a moment. Let's take a look at a couple great promotions courtesy of Twin Spires. One that is ongoing, the $10 money back offer. If you opt in at Twin Spires and you bet a horse to win in any of the eligible races from now through the last race on Kentucky Derby Day, and your horse finishes second or third, you'll get up to $10 back. So again, some insurance on your win bets. You can bet favorites and potentially get your money back if they lose. Take a shot with a long shot, knowing that if they finish second or third, you'll at least get your money back. A great promotion courtesy of Twin Spires. And this one applies to today. It is Thurby, the Thursday leaderboard competition. Make sure you opt in. It's absolutely free to play. $10 win bets on all the races today. Your first $10 win bet will count towards the contest. You get points for finishing first, second, or third. Whoever has the most points at the end of today's races will earn the lion's share of $2,500. Again, it's free to play, and you're betting to win. You're going to cash those tickets and pad your bankroll anyway. You might as well earn some points and potentially some bonus money in the process. The Thurby leaderboard competition courtesy of Twin Spires. And there he is, Sierra Leone, just a couple of days from race day. He is racing for his connections. He is racing for a purpose. The Backside Learning Center owner Brooke T. Smith has pledged 10% of his personal earnings, along with an additional $100,000 were Sierra Leone to win. So we know the Backside Learning Center is rooting for him, and they're in a position now, 20 years into the organization, where they're looking to purchase a separate building and continue all the good work they do for the people on the backstretch of Rosie. So running for a purpose, and we'll see what Sierra Leone can do on Saturday, certainly, and with a big chance. You know, this is a horse that is tough for me to gauge, quite honestly. I'd like to hear your opinion about what you've seen from Forever Young over the course of the last couple of weeks, because he's 5 for 5. He is a Japanese with the connections to potentially win the Kentucky Derby between the trainer and the rider. And, you know, to me, he's just tough to get a gauge on because I'm so, accustomed to scouting these American horses.
Yeah, well, the one thing that you can say is he's quite laid back. That is, and
you see the video of the trainer getting
yes. Oh my gosh, that was like so heartwarming. Well, I mean, I loved it. They go in the paddock. The horse is clearly the type of horse that you could do that with, which you don't expect that out of any Derby runner, right? But look at him walking here. The rider has his feet out of the stirrups. He's holding the buckle of his reins. And this horse just exudes class. Not always what we see from the Japanese invaders of just that quiet demeanor. But my gosh, you gotta love this horse. He's done so little wrong. He looks like a horse that's gonna get the distance, no problem. I mean, there's not a lot to dislike about this horse. I mean, I agree though. It's hard to get a gauge when you haven't run in the country.
Right.
You haven't run on these racetracks, and their training styles are different. It's just a little bit more difficult to get a gauge on these Japanese horses. But my gosh, both of them here, just relaxed. I love the walking warm-up. I think that's so good for their bodies to just walk in the warm-up. A lot of these horses are coming straight out of their stalls. It's a short walk to the racetrack, and it's so nice when they get the opportunity to warm up at the walk before they go on and do their training.
From a pair of laid-back horses from Japan to another laid-back individual from the United States, that is Fierceness. And he was just standing there taking everything in, Rosie, another horse that's just kind of walking at this point.
Yeah, a lot of these horses will enjoy standing in. You saw Sierra Leone when he came on the track. He just walked onto the track and then stood in right there by the gap. And then they'll do the same thing on the front side. They jog back to warm up and then they'll stand in. And it's just nice for the horses to take a breather and not be always under stress of, what they're there to do. And Fierceness certainly shows that he is not stressed. He has been galloping out here all week, just looking very relaxed. Even in his breeze, he's just a very simple ride, very easy on his rider. And there he is, happy face, with his ears pricked, just out there doing his job, looking cool as a cucumber.
Is this like a quiet confidence? Can horses be too laid back? We've seen a lot of different types of horses, in their gallops, how much energy they put into them. I like to see competitive fire, and obviously this horse has won 3 races very easily, but he still hasn't been in a battle at all in any of his races. He's either succumbed when things didn't go his way, or he's won for fun. I can't wait to see. Maybe he'll win the Kentucky Derby by 7 lengths. He's got that much talent, but I want to see a horse that's a little bit more battle hardened.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly well noted for this horse is, what will he do in the Kentucky Derby? How will he handle adversity? How will the race set up for him? I do think that his post position will play in his favor, and his talent is just undeniable. And in his breeze, he looks so well conditioned. He's, it appears like he's going to get the distance, and you've had horses on the front end in the Derby that they just keep on going, and they can kind of steal the race. I think he's got the talent to do that. I just love the way he worked out here. You've got connections that have already won the Derby together in Johnny Velasquez and Todd Pletcher, one with Always Dreaming. But this horse, I think he's a deserving favorite. He's got a completely different running style from some of his toughest competition. So we'll see, it's going to really just depend on how the first turn goes. Isn't that every Derby?
Ran faster than any other horse has this prep season in the Florida Derby without even trying. So it'll be interesting to see when he's actually set down, what he's capable of doing.
Yep.
There he is, Fierceness. Right now, 8-5 in the early wagering for Kentucky Derby 150. We're going to switch gears here to Forever Young. Again, we saw him walk onto the track earlier. We saw him work just a few days ago. Again, that different training style than we're used to here in the States, but they've had success all over the world. What are we seeing here?
Having a little fun. He just kind of did like a little hop into switching his leads from the right lead to the left lead. Sometimes, they just need a little bit more momentum to get from one lead to the other. So going forward for them can help them swap from one lead to the other. But he kind of just threw a little happy little tiny buck in there.
Forever Young, perfect 5 for 5. He has won all over the world. He's been here for several weeks at training. His connections have had a lot of international success. So, everything is set up for a horse from Japan to win the Derby in the next several years. This could be the year because this horse checks all the boxes. I'm a little bit concerned with him, and he did it in the UAE Derby as well, Rosie. He doesn't get out of the gate great. He's in a middle gate. He doesn't get out of the gate great. Obviously, we see situations that we saw with Catching Freedom where horses get pinched back and get shuffled. And this is a horse that likes to be in a stalking position or a little bit more forward. So that's a concern for every horse in the race. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen at the break, right? But based on the way he's broken out of the gate in some of his other starts, to me, that's even a little bit more of a bigger concern with him.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely be a horse that's going to have to navigate some traffic. And, especially with a history of not getting out of the gate great, and that can happen to any horse, especially in the Derby. I mean, the worst thing that is when your horse you're waiting in there for so long, and then they just take a step back to rebalance, and it's as they open the gates, so it's a very how do I want to say? It's a very tactical way to hold your horse in the gate. I was always one that kept their heads cocked all the way until the last horse was walking in, and then as the last horse walks in, I just straightened them up, and I'm sure a lot of the riders do the same thing. You straighten them up and you almost tense your body so that they can feel the difference. Like as they're standing in the gate and you're waiting, I try to make my body feel as relaxed as possible so that they're not feeling any tension from me. And then as we straighten them up, the last horse is walking in, I almost kind of tense my body, put my heels down a little bit, and give them, the cue that something's getting ready to happen. And riders and horses can communicate so much with just energy between the two. And the horses are so sensitive to it.
From Forever Young to Catching Freedom, again, Joe Christopher and Rosie Napravnik, 2-time Kentucky Oaks winning rider joining you for the last Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show, and this is what we've been seeing from Catching Freedom in his gallops. We just saw tape of it a few moments ago. Now we're seeing
the same video. He
yeah,
looks exactly the same.
This was just a couple minutes ago. We're getting a lot of this on tape, but again, the energy that this horse is showing right now, he's obviously feeling great, and he just continues to improve. And he's come such a long way from where he was a few months ago in Brad Cox's pecking order, from being, 10th or 12th to being number 1 going into the Kentucky Derby. And, he just looks like he's sitting on go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I love about this horse. I love the way he trains out here in the morning. Kind of goes the same way every day, where he's got his head, kind of tucked to his chest, but he's not really overdoing it as much as he can give you the impression. But a horse that has, the right amount of experience, he's got the right amount of tactical placement. He's, obviously has the credentials to be one of the choices in the Derby. Post position 4 is probably a little inward of where I would love to be if I were riding this horse. But he's also, he got pinched back at the break, so he's another one that's going to have to really get away well so he can get a good position. But that turn of foot, especially what we saw in the Louisiana Derby, is what I really love about this horse. And you can see he's just waiting on go, waiting for his rider to tell him to go.
I think the pedigree's there for Catching Freedom to get the 1.25 miles, along with the visuals that we've seen of him. He's after Bishop's Bay and Strava, 2 more kind of middle distance type runners, but the Dam, Catch My Drift, was a grade 1 placed router. The rest of the family's not all that great, but they paid $575,000 as a Keeneland September yearling. Albaugh Family Stables has had some horses in the Derby before, but I do believe Catching Freedom's their best chance to date. We're going to switch gears. And again, we're seeing a lot of the favorites here this morning. Rosie for the final work show, which is great. And here's another horse that's made a great impression over the course of the last couple of weeks, Just a Touch.
Yeah, another Brad Cox trainee and another horse that's a little bit of a question of experience. He's only had 3 starts, and we know that can be done. We saw that with Mage. This horse has got some tactical speed. He looks great on the track. I mean, you can see the riders kind of bobbing up and down in front, which is an indication that the horse is kind of tugging on him a little bit. And this horse is, wanting to put plenty into his gallop, but man, Just a Touch strides out super well. There's a lot of horses in this race that I really like and can make a great case for. And it was really difficult to make picks in this race.
Best foal out of this Dam by far. Some underwhelming siblings in the family. The versatile Dam, Touching Beauty, was grade 2 place. Quality Family on her side of things with a lot of route influences. Justify, a Triple Crown winner, the Stallion. A lot of his better horses that he's produced have been on the turf, but he's also been very good on the dirt. Just a very good Stallion overall. Just a Touch will be ridden by Florent Giroux in Kentucky Derby 150 on Saturday. And he is expected to be forward as he was in the Bluegrass, which was a speed-favoring racetrack. Maybe not as biased as a lot of people seem to think, but certainly was inside speed-favoring. But they went very fast in that race, and eventually Just a Touch was caught by Sierra Leone. Here's a horse that got a good look at Fierceness's heels in the Florida Derby, Catalytic, but he did show some heart, was in chase mode the whole way, Rosie. Could have easily been passed for second, but did hold on to the place spot. Safi Joseph Jr., the trainer of Catalytic, needs to improve here, should be in a tactical position, and we'll see how much stamina he has for the 1.25 miles.
Yeah, another horse with only 3 races under his belt, but was, putting pressure on Fierceness in the Florida Derby. And, like you said, there's something to be said for you're chasing the favorite the whole way. He draws off, and to keep going and hold on for second, you have to keep your horse interested in that scenario when a horse, is just a little bit better all the way around. So this horse will have to improve, but he certainly tries hard. He certainly has done plenty of things right in his career. He looks as though he handled the distance in the Gulfstream Park Derby. Look at him out here on the track, though. I mean, he's got his ears pricked. Love the way he's moving. He's just a happy, relaxed gallop, too, here, not tugging on his rider, striding out really well, going a really nice pace. without being asked, without being held back. And that's just, when they just really know what that pace is that you want in the morning, and they're happy to do it where it's not too much and it's just enough. That's the way you want to see those horses train.
This horse was sold for $70,000 as a weanling, flipped for $125,000 as a yearling. Fourth foal to race out of this dam. The dam herself was 0 for 3 as a racehorse. Very average family overall, mostly sprinters and milers, which is what we've seen from Catalina Cruiser pretty much as a stallion as well. So Catalytic isn't supposed to be a Kentucky Derby horse, but he's here, and we'll see not only what he can do on Saturday, but in his career moving forward. Jose Ortiz will ride for the first time for Safi Joseph Jr. aboard on number 5 Catalytic, 30-1 in the morning line in Kentucky Derby 150.
It looks like this is turning out to be quite a strong gallop. And it almost looks like it's by design too. I mean, the difference in his stride when he started that gallop and finishing it up, he definitely got better and better as he went through that gallop, and it looked to be quite strong.
Let's move over to Resilience. Tough draw for him, post 19 with Junior Alvarado for Bill Mott, a junior who does a lot of the heavy lifting for this stable. Will be riding Resilience for the first time. Winner of the Wood Memorial and putting blinkers on for the first time, Rosie last out. And this is a horse that's been impressive to a lot of ongoers here at Churchill since he's arrived for Bill Mott.
Yeah, this horse was one of my key works. He's a big horse with a big presence on the track, and I just love how long his stride is. Again, a horse with a little bit of tactical ability, and a tough post position in 19, but he's going to have fierceness right inside of him. I mean, there's a possibility he could be easily guided into a decent spot.
This dam, Meadow Sweet, was 2 for 6 in her career. Both of those wins on turf, but she's aftermarket and Courageous Cat, both very classy turf routers. The Grand Dam Tranquility Lake earned $1.6 million and was a 9-furlong monster. Stamina is not lacking at all in this pedigree. This is just the second foal to race out of this dam. Resilience, number 19 at 20-1 in the Kentucky Derby.
There are several horses, or at least a few, that are out of the Smart Strike mare in that family.
That turfy pedigree on the bottom side plays well here at Churchill Downs too. That
you almost wonder if it has something to do with the distance in the Derby too. Those long turf horses, if that's helping them get the distance. But this horse of Bill Mott's, I just love the way he's been training, and his breeze was excellent. Let's see who we have coming up here.
Fiona's Magic for the Kentucky Oaks. Her last race was not good at all, but she does have a little bit of early speed from the gate. It'll be interesting to see where the pace comes from in the Kentucky Oaks. And when you're on a long shot, Rosie, and you're here in a race like the Derby and the Oaks, and you've got some natural speed from the gates, I'm guessing your best strategy is to just go ahead and use it.
Well, I think no matter what horse you're sitting on, when you're in one of these big races with a big field, you can't really give anything away. You can't give away any position. And so if speed is, an asset to this filly, you're clearly going to want to get out of the gate, get into the best position that you can. She looks like she might even be a little bit one-dimensional. I mean, she sat off the leader in her maiden win, but, just off on the outside, so it's hard to say. It's obvious that she'll pass a horse, but how much diversity she'll be able to overcome in this, Kentucky Oaks with the speed scenario. There's several horses in here that have tactical speed, and it's going to be a little bit of a rider's race to the first turn in the Oaks as well.
Louisiana is very aggressive, so you would guess that Fiona's Magic would show speed. Michael Yates, the trainer. Here's just FYI, and of all the Oaks and Derby horses, she's getting as much hype as anybody based on the way she's trained.
Yeah, she has really made a presence out there. I mean, I would say, a horse this big with some tactical speed has got to be a weapon. Bill Mott's got a weapon in Just FYI. she's been training fabulously. I mean, her stride, she is huge, huge filly. And just, you know, galloping in the bridle, training so well, out there doing her job, being a professional. She's definitely one to look at when you're making your selections in the handicapping. And the pace will play a role for her too. She's got some tactical speed. She's coming from the outside. That's probably going to be her most difficult factor to overcome, is that 13 post position, although it can be done. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
I won from the 13 hole and untappable.
Now, they call me the point guard here on the set, and that was a nice assist. Just FYI, winner of 3 races in a row to begin her career, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile filly, the champion 2-year-old filly from last year. Second in the Ashland last out. Broke slowly, uncomfortable trip, shuffled back, wide midway through the far turn, wider off the far turn, grinded, got up for place over Leslie's Rose, who got a perfect pocket trip that afternoon in the Ashland. Just the second start of the year for Just FYI. A little bit earlier, we talked about the Backside Learning Center, the Purses for a Purpose, Sierra Leone and Brooke T. Smith. But you can also get involved in helping out the Backside Learning Center and put yourself in position to win a great prize. $100 raffle tickets, 3 chances to win. The drawing will be on July the 1st. And the grand prize is a Woodford Reserve Baccarat Edition bottle. It's a $15,000 value. Also, gold and silver mint julep cups are part of the prize package as well. And again, the raffle tickets are $100. You can use that barcode on your screen right there, and you got 3 chances to win. And you are donating to an absolutely great cause, the Backside Learning Center. All right, Rosie, the time has come. We've seen the races. We've seen these horses train. Painstaking for me last night, because I am going on record. These will be my picks tomorrow and Saturday for the Oaks and the Derby. But ladies first, what do you got?
Oh, ladies first. Well, I will say, when I was riding races, I would handicap at the last minute. So it's hard for me to make picks this far out from the race. But we'll start with number 5 on the Oaks. My number 5 pick is going to be Power Squeeze. I love the way that she was ridden the whole way, tried the whole way in that Gulfstream Park Oaks. Number 4, Leslie's Road. I love the way that this filly's been training. She's got the outside post, but really some tactical speed. And I think, her accolades and the connections here will bring her to be hitting the board. Number 3, Tarifa. I'm surprised she's not a little bit of a shorter price. I'm sure she will be. Tactical speed, I think she's really the talent of the race. It's going to depend on how this sets up for her. Ways and Means, I really, really love this filly. She's tactical. She can sit off. She can close. Been training really great and looks fantastic out on the track. And my top pick's going to be Torpedo Anna. I didn't see her being such a short price, but she's getting a lot of attention. She's looked really good on the track out here. Her breezes have been, 59-2 here, and just looks fabulous. This is probably one of the best works among all of the horses that we've seen. So she's been getting a lot of attention just with the way that she's looked out on the track here. Brian Hernandez aboard for this breeze, and will be aboard for the race. So I'm actually going with the favorite on top. Moving over to the Derby, my number 5 pick for the Kentucky Derby is going to be Resilience. I think this horse has an outside shot. I'm not crazy about the post position. Has tactical speed. I think could be sort of led over by Fierceness and some of the speed inside of him into a relatively good position. Track Phantom, another horse that's really been eye-catching on the track. I talked to Steve Asmussen. Blinkers on, doing really well, training really well, has got some speed. We'll see how that scenario plays out. Sierra Leone, coming from the 2-hole, is going to have to navigate traffic, but I think can close and get the distance. And then number 4, Catching Freedom, is my second pick. This horse, I love this turn of foot. I think, ran a super race in the Louisiana Derby, and I think this horse is definitely going to get a very large chunk of this prize in the Kentucky Derby. And then I actually picked the favorite on top in this race too. This is not my normal approach. But Fierceness on top. I just love the way this horse is training. We've had this pair of Johnny and Todd winning the Derby together previously. I think Johnny is just absolutely the expert of all of the jockeys in this field, and I think he's going to get this horse a fantastic trip. He'll get him out of the gate well. Coming from that, he'll be the first horse from the 17 hole to win the Derby. Fierceness. He's going to have speed out of the gate, be tactical, and steal the race.
All right, you've heard it here. Rosie with Fierceness and Torpedo Anna as her Derby and Oaks picks. Transfer over to mine. We'll start with the Kentucky Oaks. I had a couple of horses I had a really hard time leaving out of my top 5. Ways and Means, I'm not really sure that she's going to be able to get the distance versus some of the top competition, so I left her out. Where's my ring? Cozy Inside Draw. She was very impressive at Aqueduct in her most recent start, and I think she's going to fly under the radar, so I threw her in at 15-1. Torpedo Anna, I could easily put her on top. Got a great draw compared to some of the other favorites. She's looked great. It's got natural speed. Tarifa, she's going to run a race. She gets a little bit ranked in the early stages, but once she settles in, she showed a lot of tenacity at Fairgrounds in those 2 victories, and Fairgrounds horses have performed exceptionally well in the Kentucky Oaks for many, many years. Leslie's Rose, I'm concerned about that post. For her, she had a dreamy run up the rail last out in the Ashland to defeat Just FYI, but she had a burst across the finish line and looked really good doing it, and I think she's going to continue to get better for Todd Pletcher. I gave the edge to Just FYI. She has been a monster in her training. She's a monster physically. She has only run once this year, and she was compromised by a slow start, an uncomfortable trip, a wide trip over a racetrack to favorite Inside Speed. She was coming late in that race behind Leslie's Rose, and I just think she's sitting on an absolute peak performance. I agree with Rosie that the post is a concern, but if she can get into position for Junior Alvarado, who knows her extremely well, Just FYI will win the Kentucky Oaks tomorrow. Here are my Kentucky Derby picks, and again, a couple of horses that I could have easily put into my top 5 that were left off, but I wanted to throw a couple price shots in there, including the biggest of my top 5, Domestic Product at 30-1. I think this is a horse that is flying under the radar because of his speed figures, and deservedly so. He hasn't run fast enough, but he kind of has been a circumstantial situation with him. He's been training great heads up with Sierra Leone. I think he's got a lot more to give, and Chet Brown has seemed very bullish on Domestic Product, so I will be as well at a bomb price. Anna Marie will be in that 15-1 range. Like the way he's been training, 3rd start back off of the layoff, and he's got a win here at Churchill Downs in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Fierceness, you know, I picked him 3rd here. I think he's either going to win the race and maybe win it by open lengths, or maybe not run in the top 5. So picking him 3rd is only because I don't want to look stupid for not having him in the top 5. And he is amazing, and he's a freak, and he could easily win the Derby, but this is a betting game. I'm going to go with Catching Freedom 2nd, and I'm going to go with Sierra Leone 1st. Hot pace, deep out the back closers. I trust both of these horses to overcome adversity. They've done it before. I'm confident that both of these horses are going to get 1.25 miles. I just think Sierra Leone is a bigger, stronger, more powerful version of Catching Freedom. Therefore, I gave him a very slight edge.
Yeah, these two are both, I had a hard time with both of these races. Like you said, it was hard to throw several horses out.
Right, that's what makes it fun. Let's take a look at the wagering menus, and these wagering menus are now open for business on Twin Spires. I opened up my app right before the show, excuse me, and the entire card for Friday and Saturday open for business. The Oaks Derby Double, a very popular wager. The 2-day Oaks Derby Pick 6. Plethora of Pick 5s as we turn the page from Oaks Day to Derby Day and see just a ton of great wagers, including the $3 all 3-year-old Pick 3, the 50-cent all stakes all dirt Pick 5, the 20-cent Derby City 6 with a mandatory payoff. Now, it was hit yesterday, so that pool is zeroed out, but it's going to be a big pool, and it's going to be a mandatory payout, and it's just a 20-cent minimum wager on the Derby City 6. All right, again, Twin Spires, fast, safe, easy to use, lots of great promos, including the ongoing money back promo, bet a horse to win if they run second or third. Get up to $10 back in all of the applicable races. Make sure you opt in. Again, this promotion does continue on through the final race on Kentucky Derby Day. And also, this one is applicable today, the $2,500 Thursday leaderboard. Today is Thurby. And all you got to do is make $10 win bets on all 12 races today. Earn points for finishing first, second, and third. If you score the most points, you will earn the lion's share of the $2,500 bonus pool. Only at Twin Spires. Make sure you opt in. This contest is absolutely free to enter, and it is today, so don't forget about it. All right, Rosie, final thoughts. I mean, we could do a whole show just on our final thoughts because there's a lot to talk about. We've discussed a lot over the course of, I think it was 12 days of the workout show this year. It's just been sensational doing the show with you and everybody else that's been involved. Kevin Kilroy, Tony Kalo, Caitlin Free, James Scully, and Travis Stone. We all have different opinions, some of them similar, some of them completely different from each other, but that's what makes this game so great.
It is really tough to make these picks. I mean, I will change my mind 8 times before the Derby, but I can't change my picks, so they are set in stone. But I have just absolutely enjoyed being on the set with you, Joe. It's almost like we're partners now.
There you go. And they only run the races once, right? If you had a chance to do it over, if they ran these races in a simulation 20 times, you get so many different results. So it's victory just getting into the starting gates. Let the best horse win. Let's see safe trips for everybody. Give everybody as fair a chance as possible. And let's just kick back, make some bets on our Twin Spires app, and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
For everyone involved in this show, we want to give a shout out to Michael Canali, the producer, of course, the man that runs the show every day at Churchill Downs, Keith Wetzler, everybody that's been up early on the cameras. Thanks for joining us here on the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show. It's Thurby. We'll see you later.